Yeah, dude, so 9 to 5 sucks. Why would you give up 160 hours of your time for such a small amount of money when you could maybe learn a really valuable skill and sell that for way more than just your time?
Basically, I don't want to be too harsh to anyone, but working 9 to 5 is like being a slave, because any hourly wage, I don't even care if you're a doctor and you're making an hourly wage, that is way less than working for your service, and you make all the money from working for your service. Boom, you sell a website for $1,000, that's $1,000 right into your bank account. If you sold 20 of those in a month, that's 20K. So it's life-changing when you quit your 9 to 5 and realize how easy it is to be a freelancer, how easy it is to make a lot of money, and how easy it is to not have to, be someone's or how easy it is to not have to, listen to someone else all the time.
There's a saying, you don't know better until you've had better. So a lot of people, they've never really experienced what it's like working for themselves, and a lot of people think that they can't do it. And I had that same thought too. It's very scary, but at the same time, what's even scarier is wasting your life every day, 8 hours a day, at a place where there's very limited growth monetarily and skill level wise. I mean, the skills that you learn by being independent is unbelievable. I mean, just in 2 weeks of not having a job, I've actually learned how to do so many things that I didn't experience at my job. And also, I have the passion to learn these things. Like, I'm not just like, I have to learn this for my job, or I have to go do this, I have to be here. Everything is because of my free will. Like, I'm not here because I have to. I'm here because I want to be. And of course, no matter what, like, if you have a job or if you're a freelancer, you're gonna have to do things you don't want to do, but not really, because, when I sign a client on, as, I'm doing a service for them, I'm signing them. It's my decision. It's not because the company that I work for is making me sign a client on because, they need to make their bottom line. Which, don't get me wrong, like, I totally understand needing a job, and I've had a job for my entire life up until recently. So if you have to have a job, then fine. Like,
We're not saying to quit your job right now. We're just giving you our insight on our experience, because we both have worked jobs our whole life. And when we decided it was time to do our own thing, we're both much happier with our decision. And in hindsight, we realized, wow, what were we doing all those years? Holding ourselves back, not letting ourselves go where we want to go where we can go, just because we had this job. And, it was holding us so far back that it's just crazy to think about. Are never gonna have to work another 9 to 5 again.
I don't want to say like, if I could go back in time, but I hope that when I have a kid that, around the time that they're 15, 16, when they're starting to like want to work and make money, that I advise them to start getting skills, not go get a job and get in that trap. Just because imagine where you would be right now if you worked on something for yourself since you were 16 years old.
It takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. Then after all those hours, you're still mastering it. It's not like it's done with. You keep working at it. So when you're 16, you start mastering a skill, you get 10,000 hours by the time you're 20. It's not over, the journey's not over. You just keep getting better on top of that. You know what I mean? And
I mean, for anybody who is young, that is in high school right now watching this, yeah, you need to start thinking about developing skills. And you can learn that by getting a job, but just don't think about, hey, I'm just gonna go from job to job to job, just because you're never really going to create something for yourself, I just think that working, I remember that Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, he said that he had a job working for somebody scooping ice cream, and then one day she wanted him or to scrape gum off the floor, and he said, yeah, but you pay me to scoop ice cream, not to scrape gum off the floor. And his boss replied, I pay you to do anything I want, you're my employee. And that's kind of where we're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't want to be somebody's bleep, you know? We want to be our own boss.
And as far as, you know, when you're 16 and you're like, well, I don't even know how to make a website. I don't even know how to create a game, you know, using code and stuff like that. You don't need to go to college to learn that. College is great, and I'm never going to tell you to not go to college. If you want to go to college, that's your decision. All I'm saying is you can have a free college experience on YouTube. You can learn any possible skill you need to. In 15 minutes, you've already gotten the basic skills you need to start. Then you just go from there and watch more YouTube, or make as many websites as you can, or make as many videos as you can, and just start slowly growing from there. So
I think the common misconception is that you have to get a job to get experience. You have to go to college to learn, when that's just totally wrong. Like, you can get experience by providing a service for somebody for extremely cheap. You can learn anything. All the information is free everywhere, on YouTube, in a library, in a book. Like, it's all out there for free. You don't need to spend $80,000 on an education just to learn, you know? So I think that's a problem with our society, is that we think that these options are the safe route. Like, we think getting a job is safe, but is your job really safe? Obviously, in 2020, a lot of people found out that their job isn't safe when coronavirus hit, and they lost their job because their employer couldn't afford to pay them. When you're your own boss, you're in charge of the income that you make, right? You're not hoping that your employer will have the money to pay you. And they can't just, like, if you're your own boss, no one can just cut you off. No one can just say, sorry, you're fired, you're laid off, you're furloughed, like, we can't afford you anymore. You know, you don't have to negotiate how much you want to make. You don't say, you decide what you want to charge your clients, right? You can decide, hey, I'm worth this much time, I'm worth this much of the service, this is how much it costs. And you can let the market decide on how much they're willing to pay, not some dude trying to make the bottom line so he can only pay you $15 an hour, to work for him, which is obviously a ripoff.
It's baby money. The COVID situation where all these people lost their jobs. I was a freelancer during COVID, and I was unharmed. In fact, I actually saw massive growth in my sales during COVID. While all these people were losing their jobs, I was making more money than I ever have been. And those are the benefits of freelancing. And that's why we, are here talking to you today, honestly.
I mean, not just to mention the financial part of freelancing, because you will make more money most likely than your job. Just because, think about it. So if you made, a salary of $3,000 to $4,000 a month, having a full-time position, you're working 160 hours of that time, and possibly more.
Yeah.
Right, sometimes more. So if you had 160 hours that you actually put towards your side hustle or your business, imagine the kind of growth you would make then. It would be tremendously more significant than the paycheck that you receive. At the same time, you get to decide where you want to work. So if you're a freelancer that has an online kind of business where maybe it's making websites, maybe it's social media management, or you have an e-commerce store of some kind, you get to work wherever you want. You don't have to spend money on gas to travel all the time to work. You can go work at Starbucks. You can go work at your home. If you need to go to Pennsylvania for some reason, you can still have the ability to work. You don't have to ask for time off. It's funny how when you have a job, the agreement is, hey, you get a 2-week vacation once a year. And I mean, can you imagine that?
It's ridiculous to think about that. You get 2 weeks out of the year that you can miss work. That blows my mind. That blows my mind.
Yeah, and once again, you know, if you have a job and you like it, great. You know, it's your life. And I'm not even wanting to rag on people who have a job or even the business owners who set up these rules, because if I was a business owner, yeah, I would have the same thing. Like, hey, you need to work 8 hours a day, stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that we have to, you know, do it ourselves. We don't have to promote it. And in fact, I would advise you don't. If you're a person who has no skills, if you're not willing to learn anything, you know, if you're not willing to take a little bit of risk, then yeah, maybe freelancing is not for you. But somebody watching this channel is probably not that case. If you're watching this video hoping to learn a little bit more about why you shouldn't work a 9 to 5, then you're probably the kind of person that we're talking about. Someone who can take a risk, someone who is willing to learn skills and grow and, you know, not just be a sheep.